Welcome to Osteo Knits. I'm Andre. You can find me on Instagram as Osteo Knits or on Ravelry as Osteo Andre. I am a university professor who teaches forensic science and human osteology, hence the bones in my background and that basically permeate my life. Yeah. This is a crafting, primarily fiber arts, knitting channel, YouTube channel. Yes, it is predominantly knitting and to a larger degree spinning as well, plus some yarn hoarding. Welcome aboard. If you have seen one of my previous episodes, you have seen how I've been tackling my crafting in this year. Month by month, I try to focus on 3 to 4 projects to cut down on decision fatigue and actually finish things. It's been good, yeah. Each month I allow myself one new cast on. I work on one whip, one scrappy project, and sometimes I'm allowed an extra test story, sample knit, or what have you. For the month of July, my 3 projects that I was focusing on were my Lawrenson sweater, my black bat blouse, and my ever-present book shawl scrappy project. As you may have noticed, the Lawrenson is done. I love this sweater. Back this up a little so I can show it off a little bit. It fits beautifully. Here we have the side twisted rib detail on these beautiful puffy sleeves. This is a pattern by Lily Kate Makes. I have talked about how much I love Lily Kate and her designs on many episodes. No exception here. I knit mine using the Estelle Merino alpaca worsted in the color plum. It doesn't register well here, but there are some little pink and blue flecks in the color. It is beautifully soft and cozy and very warm. I'm a little bit toasty, but we'll try to soldier on through this recording. If not, well, I'll have to change out a bit. One thing that I quite like about Lily Kate's samples especially is that she tends to make multiple for each design. Maybe she revisits it later, but when she does revisit it, more often than not, she does a little tweak on it. So with the Lawrenson, the initial design was just a straight body construction with that expanding twisted rib. The updated version that she did afterwards featured body shaping, was a more cropped fit, and had, I think, wider twisted rib. I ended up doing a hybrid between those two. So with Lily Kate's sizing, I happen to fall right smack in the middle in between a size 5 and a size 6. So I kind of have to evaluate how I want the item to fit before I decide what size to knit. With this one, I didn't want it to be very fitted, but still wanted to be kind of tailored. Right? So I didn't want a lot of positive ease, but not a ton of negative ease, if that makes sense. So I opted to do the size 6, including the decreases, so the shaping along the side, but using the expanded twisted rib just because I really like that design feature. And I'm thrilled. It fits beautifully. It's going to be great in the fall. It'll match with almost everything I own. Well, most of it's black, but so that's not too difficult, but yeah, I think it'll be a work staple. So hooray, awesome. I have quite a few garments on the go. I only have one in my focus group, but yeah, I'm gonna have to knock out some garments in the next little while. One of them was my new cast on for the month of July. I am still working on it. That's not it. I will still be working on it for the month of August. And that is my black bat. This is a test for Ariana Frasca. So this is where we are now. So we have a collar here. There's going to be a keyhole opening in the chest. And I'm getting quite close to being able to split for the sleeves. The yarn I'm using is 2 sets of flakes from the Frosted Stitch. I'm alternating skeins and they blend in quite well. It's such a delightfully moody palette here. So these were prototypes for the color that will become Black Bat. So this will be part of the Botanical Gardens collection, but it's coming in October. This isn't a total spoiler because it does not look like this. It may give you a hint as to what it will look like. So yes, this month I'm hoping to make a lot of progress on it. I am just doing the blouse version of it. There is an option within the pattern to knit a dress, and there's varying lengths of dress as well. But I didn't have the yarn to do that, so we're doing a blouse. So that will be carrying on as my whip for the month of August. I have not brought the book shawl to show you. I've done a little bit, but nobody's interested in seeing ½ an inch of applied I-cord. Yeah, it's slow going. That's okay. That's okay. I've had other things that I'm more interested in doing. So we've got Black Bat that's continuing into August. I've also cast on quite recently a test for the Stitch and Witch. So this is going to be my sneaky 4th project. The Stitch and Witch had taken a little break from designing because she had a baby boy. I could not resist when she posted a tester call for a cowl pattern that she had designed. Stitch and Witch always has such interesting construction. Her designs are just so unique. I absolutely love it, and she's just a great person all around. So I am testing her Event Horizon cowl. I've done quite a bit of progress on it actually. It's a relatively quick knit. So here is where I am. So it's quite bright. So we have the cowl here that was knit flat, joined. I've picked up and done the ribbing at the top. I need to bind it off. Once I finish that, I'll be picking the stitches along the bottom, and then there's lace that will be in that purple color, so the contrast color. The colors I used, this green is Ancient Arts in the color Vancouver that my parents actually, or my dad picked up for me in Vancouver when he was there. The purple is Yarns from Heaven in Amethyst Ink, which I picked up at Romney Wool last year when I was in Toronto for the Ontario University's Fair. So really fun, quick knit. Very interesting construction, right, with all these holes. It lends itself really well to a range of different colors. Something that you can pull out, that weird skein of sock yarn that you don't know what to do with. And I think it'll be a fun accessory to wear. It certainly won't be hard to find in a pile of things with my neon green hair. So I'll be continuing to work on this month. I don't anticipate it taking me too long, beyond the fact that it's going to be lace. With this has been basically my Olympic watching knit, because it's mostly garter except for those holes, and it's so easy to count your rows in garter as well, that it's been a good kind of brainless knit. We have a bunch of ends I have to sew, but yeah. And while, yes, that was a new cast on, I do have another one. Partly because it was what I had planned to cast on this month. This was kind of an unplanned thing. So my scheduled, planned cast on for the month of August is the Mabon shawl by Lisa Much, aka Northbound Knitting. Lisa has all kinds of beautiful shawl designs. I'm doing a very, once again, moody color palette on this one. So I started it this weekend and I'm already this far into it. Those do look quite a bit alike, these two, but they are different colors. So my main color is yet another flake from the Frosted Stitch. I have this, which is Cabernet All Day from Sticks Yarns. Nope, that's not it. Nutmeg, again from the Frosted Stitch. A Enchanted Garden prototype from the Frosted Stitch. And from Cedar House Yarns, the color is called Straw. So these do look similar depending on how much of those pops of color are popping in. So this is a nice, again, brainless knit where I don't need to think too much. We've got the increases on the right side rows and the wrong side rows are just knit. Lots of garter. It isn't a DK weight, so it is knitting up really fast. And it's fun that I'm using up a bunch of scraps to work this up. So I'm hoping on having this done for Mabon, so mid-September-ish. I think that's quite doable given that I did this in a weekend. It's pretty low contrast, but you can see that pop of the Cabernet. I'm enjoying these colors. I don't often gravitate to brown, but it certainly complements much of my wardrobe. I'm having a purple moment lately, so yeah. Yeah, so within this month, the event horizon, well, the test is due August 26th. That shouldn't be a problem. I imagine I'll make a great deal of headway on the Mabon shawl, and definitely need to make some progress on the black bat, but most of them are fairly straightforward, easygoing knits, so it should be good. We have the lace on this one, but that's fine. I like to have a balance of projects that are either brainless that I can do while I'm knitting or playing card games or what have you, and then something that requires a little bit more attention for when I can just sit out on the deck and chat with my partner, or if we're watching TV or what have you. That's why multiple projects are necessary, different whips for different purposes. Yeah. So of course, beyond the knitting, there has been spinning. In the previous episode, I had shown my scrappy spin that was predominantly greens when it was on the bobbin. I have wet set it, and it is so fun. It's like a controlled chaos, right? It doesn't seem so discombobulated. It does seem to go together really well. And I'm just so pleased with how it turned out. I think this needs to be used in some color work, maybe some fingerless mitts. I have been working on a spin. Am I missing one? Am I? Yes, I am. Okay. Anyways, I had been working on a spin using 2 fiber braids from the Fiber Imp. One was a color called Galaxy that was predominantly purple with some flecks of blue, orange, green. There was flax in there, there was silk, and I applied that with a single of merino alpaca in the color Poseidon. And this is what I got out of it. I need to get better at splitting my bobbin when I apply it. I keep thinking, oh, maybe I can put it all in the bobbin, and then I don't. So I end up with one big skein and one little one. I need to force myself to split midway. But quite happy with how this turned out. I've got, I think, about 500 yards. So there's a lot of potential with what I can do with this. I just double plied it. I did have some leftover Poseidon afterwards. So I played around and chain plied that one. And I'm really pleased with myself. I think this is my best chain ply so far. Okay, one more extra little skein here. I have a skein that I spun up from a bat that my cousin made with alpaca, merino, and some bits of silk. Really lovely color. Hard to see, but there are some flecks of like neon green and pink in there. I chain plied it, maybe with a little bit too much twist. Lovely halo and drape to it from the alpaca. Yes. She also brought me some braids from Akara Fibers that she had picked up for me at Knit City. And some fiber from Hedgehog Fibers that she unfortunately is now allergic to mohair, so she passed that on to me. I have since started spinning one of the bats that I showed last month by Art by Anna. It's a predominantly black with some red, a heck of a lot of sparkle, and a bit of teal. It is spinning up beautifully. I imagine I'll probably finish that up in the next week. But I had a bit of an adventure 2 weekends ago. So I'll start this with, in the past month or so, I've started popping into a knitting group at the library and met a bunch of great people, some of which I had known online prior to meeting them in person. And Lynn there told me about a woman nearby who had alpacas and was selling their fiber. So I went out, I checked this out, and I ended up bringing home a box of 500 grams of alpaca fiber, all from an alpaca named Star. It is absolutely adorable. The fiber is beautiful. It spins like butter. And it's just so cute that I got to see the alpaca it came from. It is local. Like, I love it. So of course, the second I brought that home, I had to play around with it a little bit. So here is Star's fiber spun up. You can see it's this beautiful chestnutty brown with some white flecks in there. I have since ordered myself 2 more bobbins for my wheel. I'm considering doing an actual 3-ply with this fiber. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but just given the nature of alpaca fiber, it's very drapey. I figure that having multiple plies will give more strength to the finished yarn. But like, oh, it's beautiful. Yeah. So yes, still absolutely into the whole spinning thing. I even found, we went to, I think it was Marshall's, and came across this basket, essentially. It's like a hybrid between a basket and like a chest. So there is a lid with a hinge, but it's like a straw material. And that is now my fiber chest in my home office. Yeah. Not too much in acquisitions. Pretty good for the month of July. I only have my one skein from the Frosted Stitch Botanical Gardens. And this month's color is Blue Puya. So this lovely, it's kind of, let me see if I can tone this down a bit. There we go. So it is still a very bright blue with those pops of that magenta, some yellow and green. Beautiful color. Again, I feel like this goes with quite a few of the others in the collection. This is the reason why I had to re-record, because I accidentally showed the wrong color as Blue Puya. And when she officially released it, I thought, that doesn't look like the one I have. Yes. So I had to go back, find the correct one. So here we go. This is Blue Puya, and you're not getting a spoiler for what's coming out in November. Yes. We've just kind of come on the tail end of a heat wave. We're finally getting some reprieve, so I can actually wear this for this episode without fully melting my face off. It is still a little bit toasty. I've been enjoying the Olympics. I'm sure a lot of people have. I thoroughly enjoyed the opening ceremonies, and especially I think with my love of history, seeing all of these historical buildings and having the history integrated into especially the opening ceremonies has been so fun. I love all the events taking place in like Le Grand Palais and Versailles and all that. Like, yeah, anytime you can bring history into something, I'm all for it. And here I have my guillotine earrings in honor. Yeah, so Olympics are always fun. It's kind of an exciting thing, almost like a little break from reality, and you know, nobody fights when you put on whatever Olympic event is on. Yeah. Got a bit of reading done. I did finish that nonfiction book I was reading, Behold the Monster, about Sam Little. I found it was really well done. The author essentially befriended might be the wrong word, but kind of developed a relationship with Sam Little before he passed away. This allowed her to come in and interview him frequently. They spoke on the phone quite a bit. And due to that relationship that she formed, she was able to get confessions out of him. Now, at that point, he had already been convicted and was serving, I think, 3 life sentences, so really he had nothing to lose. But from gaining information out of him, they've been able to identify some of his victims who had not been identified, and hopefully this has led to some closure for some of the families involved. There's that. I also just finished another, I'm on a nonfiction kick. I guess this one would be kind of true crime-ish. So it was called The Art Thief by Michael Finkel. So also true story, but this followed a man called Stefan Brettweiser, who stole, I think, over 200 pieces of art and artifacts from various museums in Switzerland, France, others as well, but I think his main targets were in Switzerland and France. And he wasn't selling it, at least for the bulk of his time that he was stealing. He was largely amassing it as a personal collection, and eventually he got caught. It's really interesting, like as much as I enjoy the more kind of traditional true crime dealing with murders and more kind of violent crimes, I really, again, I love when we can bring in history. I love everything to do with art and artifact theft and forgeries. It's kind of a different side of true crime that's not typically as violent. And I do like to bring some of these stories to my students because it reminds them that it's not all, biologicals, and we might be looking at different types of evidence, and we might not have, a victim per se beyond like culture and history by having these things taken out of museums and whatnot. But yeah, very interesting. I'm still reading Rue by Kim Thuy. It's not something I want to just tear through. Like I said, I'm really enjoying just kind of savoring it. So I pull it out and I read like a little bit from it here and there. And I know I don't want it to be done. So I'm kind of dragging it out. I know this is what I'm doing. I know it will eventually have to end. I just need to be ready for that. Yeah, I do have a few other books by Kim Thuy, so maybe I'll just have to continue reading more of her stuff. And of course, because I can't not have a nonfiction on the go, I've started another one, yet another grisly subject. This one is on cannibalism. It is actually called Cannibalism: A Perfectly Natural History. It's written by a zoologist, but I think it's a little bit of like, how much cannibalism do we see in the animal world? How much do we see in the human world, and in what contexts? And it's interesting. I had written like a research paper for one of my classes in grad school about the archaeology of cannibalism. So I'm familiar with quite a lot of the sources, and it'll be interesting to see how it compares to the zoological world, and if there's any what's new in the world of cannibalism. Yeah. So it wasn't so long ago that I read the Donner Party book. So we're back on cannibalism. Yeah. I know, not always the most pleasant topics, but it's interesting, right? The human condition, I guess, especially looking at the abnormal. Yeah. It's the Monday of a long weekend. I'm here in my office. Partly I'm taking advantage of the fact that it is quiet here, so I'm getting a bunch of work done. Took a little lunch break to record this, and I'll be getting back at it without this big heavy sweater. But the start of the school year is coming up quite soon. It's wild how fast the summer went by. But I'm looking forward to a new year. I think especially for those of us whose lives kind of circulate based on the academic year. Like September is almost like a new year, right? Like a January 1st, like fresh start, you know, new notebooks, new planner, and yeah, let's turn the page and see what this brings, right? New intentions and new energy. I always like seeing the new crop of students and seeing returning students. I have one of my classes in the fall that I'm going to be taking a slightly different approach to, so I'm hoping it all works out the way I'm anticipating. I'm only teaching 2 courses this term, so that's exciting, it's interesting, it's strange, because when I wasn't full-time, I was having to pack as many courses as I could into my schedule so that I could eke out a living. So it wasn't unusual for me to teach 4 courses in one term, and now I'm doing half of that. But I also have the research aspect and the service aspect. Last week I chaired a master's defense. I'm going to have 2 master's students and 2 undergrad thesis students in the coming year. So we're going to have projects with them. I'm co-supervising them with one of my colleagues, and we're looking to take a different approach with our thesis students in the coming year so that they kind of get all the groundwork that they need. Yeah. So new ways to do things, new approaches, and hopefully it all works out. Well, I hope that you're all having a great long weekend if you do have a holiday today. Hope you're enjoying the Olympics if that's something you like to watch. Thank you again for tuning in, and I will see you next month. Bye.